In every player's career, there's a crossroads season, a year that defines everything that comes next. It can be triggered by anything: a trade to a new city, the relentless battle with Father Time, a changing role, or a sudden unexplainable slump. So we wanted to find out who is standing at that crossroads right now. We fired up our data model to identify the 10 players whose performance took the biggest statistical nosedive last season. But this isn't just a list of who played poorly. This is our official nosedive watch list, a list of the players under the most pressure to flip the switch, and flip it urgently. Will they reclaim their form and prove the numbers were a fluke? Or is this the new normal? Stick around, because these are the 10 players with the most to prove in the 2025-26 NBA season. Kicking off the list at number 10 is a familiar face in a familiar place, D'Angelo Russell. After being traded from the Lakers, he made his return to Brooklyn, but the data shows this was not the same all-star caliber D'Lo the Nets once had. The numbers reveal a stark difference. His overall player impact estimate, or PIE, plummeted by a massive 11.7% compared to his career baseline. At the same time, his shooting efficiency took a major hit, with his true shooting and effective field goal percentages dropping by over 5 and 7% respectively. This decline happened even as his usage rate also fell by nearly 11%, showing he was both less involved and less effective during his second stint in Brooklyn. Next up is Mikal Bridges, and his story is about a massive role change after moving across town from the Brooklyn Nets to the New York Knicks. In his first year as a Knick, sharing the floor with high-usage stars like Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, his role shifted dramatically. While his assist percentage skyrocketed by a massive 17.7% as he settled into a new connector role, other parts of his game took a back seat. His overall player impact estimate, or PIE, fell by nearly 6%, and his rebounding cratered, with his defensive rebounding percentage dropping by a staggering 31%. Hopefully this is rock bottom for him. Next is perhaps the most shocking name you can imagine on a list like this, Luka Dončić. For years there were whispers about his diet and conditioning, and last season those whispers became a reality that led the Mavericks to make a stunning business decision. The negative impact on his stat line was clear and significant. The engine of his offense, his assist percentage dropped by a staggering 14.5% from his career average. His rebounding also fell, and his overall player impact estimate, or PIE, declined by a significant 7%. But the shock of the trade seems to have been a wake-up call. Hopefully, the leaner, more focused Luka will resurge this season and reawaken that bad man inside of him. Next up is Dennis Schröder, a player who perfectly captured the chaos of the trade deadline last season. After playing for 3 different teams before finally settling in Detroit, he admitted he was just thankful it was all over. Unsurprisingly, that constant instability had a negative impact on his game. His usage rate dropped by over 9%, showing a player constantly trying to fit into new, smaller roles. The biggest hit was to his hustle stats, with his overall rebounding percentage falling by over 10% and his offensive rebounding cratering by a massive 20%. This all led to his player impact estimate dropping by a significant 8%, a clear statistical cost of a season spent living out of his suitcase. Halfway through our list at number 6 is the master of the mid-range, DeMar DeRozan. As he gets older, his data shows a player who is leaning heavily into what he does best, but is coming at a cost to his all-around game. His evolution into a hyper-efficient scorer was remarkable last season, with his effective field goal percentage shooting up by an incredible 5%. However, this specialization came with clear trade-offs. While his scoring got sharper, his defense declined by over 5%, and his rebounding fell off a cliff. dropping by nearly 16%. This is why, despite the elite scoring, his overall player impact estimate still took a significant 9% hit, reflecting a decline in his contributions outside of putting the ball in the basket. Cracking our top 5 is Kyle Kuzma, who went from being the #1 option on the Washington Wizards to a role player on a contender in Milwaukee. The transition was not smooth and the data is brutal. His overall player impact estimate, or PIE, didn't just drop, it cratered by an unbelievable 19.7%, one of the most severe regressions on our list. This decline was across the board. His scoring efficiency fell, his rebounding dropped significantly, with his offensive rebounding down over 14%. His playmaking decreased and his defense got worse, reflecting a complete statistical collapse. At number 4 is a name no one expects to see on a list like this, Trae Young. The player known as Ice Trae is a superstar in his prime, which makes his statistical regression so alarming. His data is puzzling and tells the story of a player becoming more one-dimensional. On one hand, his playmaking remained elite, with his assist percentage actually increasing by over 6%. However, that's where the good news ends. His scoring efficiency took a dip, his defense got worse, and his rebounding completely disappeared from his game, with his overall rebounding percentage dropping by over 14%. This decline in his all-around contribution is why his overall player impact estimate still fell by a significant 8.3%, a major red flag for a franchise cornerstone. Deep in our top 3 at number 3 is Terance Mann. This is a particularly alarming case because his value isn't in flashy scoring, but in being a smart, reliable, high IQ role player. However, the data shows that the very foundation of his reliable game completely crumbled. His overall player impact estimate cratered by a massive 17%. The numbers show a collapse in his core responsibilities as a connector. His playmaking vanished, then with his assist percentage dropping by a staggering 16%. On top of that, his once solid defense also got significantly worse, and his defensive rebounding fell off a cliff, declining by over 20%. At the number 2 spot is the high-flying Javonte Green. After a mid-season trade sent him from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the data shows a player whose signature energy game struggled to make an impact. His overall player impact estimate saw a near total collapse, falling by a staggering 19.4%. For a player whose value is tied to his relentless motor, the numbers are alarming. His defense got significantly worse, his overall rebounding dropped by nearly 13%, and his trademark hustle on the offensive glass vanished, with his offensive rebounding rate plummeting by 21%. To top it all off, his scoring efficiency also took a massive 8.6% hit. And for our honorable mentions, and finally, at the number 1 spot on our comeback watch list is the player who redefined the modern center, Brook Lopez. His data shows the most extreme case of specialization we have ever seen. On one hand, he became one of the most efficient shooters in the league, with his effective field goal percentage skyrocketing by nearly 11%. But this came at the cost of everything that once made him a defensive anchor. His usage rate plummeted by a staggering 28%, essentially removing him from the offense outside of shooting. His rebounding, the primary job of a 7-footer, completely disappeared, dropping by over 21%. And his once DPOY caliber defense also saw a significant decline. This resulted in the single biggest collapse in player impact estimate on our entire list. a catastrophic drop of 20.7%. And that's it. That is our top 10 watch out regressing players list. But what do you think? Did we miss anything? How about those players who defy expectation from 2025? That would be next, so until then, keep nerding out.